Welcome back, fans and friends. For this upcoming video, I have an icon of the middle to late 80s and early 90s, car-wise anyway. And that happens to be Ferrari's one of their finest, the Testarossa. So I really do like this car, and for obvious, there's a lot of reasons for that. But anyway, this car actually, I think, in terms of exclusivity, was less so than other Ferraris. For one, it was produced from 1984 to 1992 in this form. And then after that until 1996 in the 512M and the 512TR version of the cars, which were, I want to say, updated and revised slightly. And so this also represented, I think, Ferrari's last gasp into the V12 era. After that, they had a lot of V10s, a lot of V8s. And basically, the other important factor with this car is, unlike certain other versions, especially a lot of, not all of them, but there's an increasing number of Ferraris that are in fact front engined, while this one here is obviously mid-engined. So it's rear mid-engined, which means that the engine is in between the two axles. This allows for better weight distribution and increases the car's ability to corner and keep it to the ground, amongst other things. It's a formula very popularized. Corvette switched to it with their C8 version of the car. Lamborghini's been using it for a while in most of, if not all, their vehicles. And so hopefully this one, like I said, this is a Ferrari actually you can do in yellow or red. Looks really nice. And you can see there the official product sticker. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is a manufacturing number and what the years dates are for, but anyway. So here we have it. Obviously, it's not 164, as we all know. I am unsure as to if the lights pop out, and that's all it does. So you can see there, sort of cutouts. We're going to get into that. Gas cap is right there, but this is where the engine is. Like I said, there is no trunk whatsoever in the back there. It would be the front. And you have the intakes on the side and underneath the car. And obviously, is done for it has more space, obviously, if you want to put the engine in, and everything is compact. The weight is behind the driver. Like I said, it's mostly for high-end sports performance cars. And so just going over the box, I unfortunately cannot read most of this. There are little bits here and there in English. Made in Vietnam, copyright by Tommy, and Takara Tommy is the overall company. And so there we have it. So I do hope, like, it does look unusual. I've never actually seen one of these miniatures. Look, we're going to get into that. Like I said, the pop-up headlights on this vlog. But we'll see. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Time to open it. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but this one I got through Kijiji, which is, it's hit and miss. Sometimes you get what you want really cheap, or you just don't want to overprice it with buying it online. So these sort of things, unfortunately, are not readily Amazon available. So therefore, you'd have to buy it from eBay. And eBay, unfortunately, has gotten super expensive with a great many things. So here we have the box. And as you can see, they don't have any plastic inserts or whatever, despite being 2.5 to 3 times more than a green light. I'm going to tell you how much I paid for this, but it was definitely in the 1.5 times to 2 times what a green light is. So, but also bear in mind, Mattel itself does not build Ferraris because they license out very sparingly. Anyway, so as we can take a look into the car, you can see there, I do believe the bonnet or hood opens. You can see there cutouts for the lights, the Ferrari symbol right in the middle, nice and easy to see into the cabin. A very simple interior, but you can see the gear shift. These usually came with a 5-speed manual over all the engines, which ranged from 384 horsepower to 430 in the TR version of the car. In the M version of the car, which was the last version. Gray dashboard, which is different from the beige interior. To the front now, you can see there lights just painted on over, as well in between the grille. Unfortunately, no rear view mirrors on either side, but you do see the cabin rear view mirror right there. On to the left side, the wheels are the iconic version of the wheels. The center brake, I believe they call it center bolt brake wheels, which is mostly fallen out of fashion. If you look out, I think between 90 to 95% of all cars have the normal spoke between 4 and 6 lug nuts. They have obviously replaced it. This is mostly seen as a high performance sports car issue rather than a common. It's a matter of cost, and people say safety, but honestly, it depends obviously on the vehicle and the size of the vehicle. Only important thing to know on the left side, there's the gas cap. There is no door handles whatsoever. Doors do not open. And the little indicator on that side there, and the turn thing there. Wheels, like I said, simple and stamped, but they are the iconic version of the car. So here we have the back, Ferrari horse, quadruple exhaust, dual on either side, and you can just see there the vent for the engine. Onto the back, there's the grille hood cover and Ferrari in nice clear letters right in the middle. There is a certain aesthetic, I'm just going to say this briefly, to simplicity. You get this with maybe the Countach, I guess, would be extremely similar to this, where there's very little in terms of decorative, but it's just got its own kind of style to it, which is really nice. I'm not going to rag on that. But anyway, onto the right side, we do have, and I just saw this right now, it's not as pronounced here, you can see, but a black border around the windshield. Sort of gives it, I am not too familiar, I don't remember seeing it as blatant, but it isn't actually in the photo, so I'll just not bring it up any further, but it does have an extended where it is not quite as pronounced on the rest of the car. So overall, I think it's done really well. Honestly, if it's done better than the Miura, the problem with the Miura is the back end of the car was slightly larger than the front end, and it made it look kind of weird. Onto the underside. So as you can see here, the quick, oh, there's the light, not light switch, but that, I believe this little tab here is what pops up with the lights. We'll get to it. So here we are, Ferrari SPA and MCG, and Testarossa, so it's not the 512 TR, and it's not technically not the 512 TR, and not the 512M. This is, I believe, just the first version of it. Engine, because obviously it was supposed to be a 60-40 split. So the engine weight is 60% in the back and 40% in the front. I cannot measure it with a measuring tape to tell you where exactly it is. So therefore, we're just going to pretend it's just the Testarossa from the 1984 to 1992 and not the 512 TR, not the 512M. There we have the suspension. And as I said repeatedly, the engine is right above this, so therefore and it's a rear-wheel drive car, so therefore there is no reason to have any differential or transfer case to the front. We see there are 2 pins for when they stamped it together, and a lot of not really spectacular detail. I would call this Mattel levels of detail. It's not super, but then again, if you have this sitting anywhere, it's probably not going to be sitting upside down. And in any sort of elevation, there's not too much, unless you have those little discs with the mirrors on them, but still. And interestingly, actually, I do believe that the interior up here is brown, like a brownish color, now that I see it like this, to contrast the beige of the cabin and the steering wheel. Still looks good, not going to rag on that. So we're just going to go ahead and use this. And yes, it does, see, there you go. So it does pop up the lights, which is fairly unique feature for, you can just see there, you can graduate it. It is a fairly unique feature in terms of this sort of scale. So I'm going to say 172 to 164. Even though this is a bit bigger than that, it is obviously related to 164. It does look really nice in terms of its aesthetics. Exterior, I'm just going to take a second and see if we can pop the hood to take a look at the engine, because for me, unfortunately, it does not look like the engine pops open, which is a shame. So yeah, it doesn't have cutouts. The one thing that this car, I guess, they gave you was those headlights, which kind of sucks. Let's be fair. I was kind of hoping for the engine to open. The headlights are gimmicky in terms of that's what they give you, because honestly, I'd rather have the engine open, or at least the doors. So anyway, this car it looks great. It probably rolls very well. There you go. A bit of a wobble on it. I don't know if that's my No, it rolls great. There's no wobble on it. It's just moving over that. So overall, it's great. Unfortunate, it does not have an opening engine deck, which is kind of a downer for me. It doesn't take away from the vehicle if it's just on display, but I do have several vehicles where the hood opening is part of what it is for display. Anyway, fans and friends, Ferrari Testarossa. I don't think this is the first Ferrari of the channel, but anyway, it's the first this of the channel. Overall, reasonably well done. Like I said, you don't get, unfortunately, the rubber on plastic or metal for the wheels, which kind of not great. No opening engine deck, also not great. And you get this gimmicky sort of, I keep calling it gimmicky, but it is fairly unique. The headlights of the car. And as you can see there, it's already sort of, this was brand new. I just opened it now, and it's already sort of flexing there. Anyway, not poor, but also not fantastic. Ferrari Testarossa from Tomica Premium. Also, they call it Takara Tommy. It's a bunch of Tomica. So I believe these are out of production. So I am unsure. Unfortunately, there is no year on this that I can read. Imagine you could license the prancing horse just in general. I believe these are, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I found it at a great price. I ended up getting it. And here we are. I believe that is the production year, 2022, and it is 319, so it's relatively recent. Shouldn't be super expensive. So if you like Ferrari, you don't want to own an actual one, or you can't own an actual one, and you don't want it, let's say a 118 scale, 24 scale, there's this thing, which is done reasonably well. Thank you, fans and friends, for watching. This is Thomas from Toronto, and to the next one.